All right, so hey everybody, Dan Fitzpatrick here, stockmarketmentor.com, and we're going to one of, though not the only, one of my favorite quantum computing trades. Now, look at this. These are all the different trade levels that we've taken here at Stock Market Mentor, and this one down here at 1460 has been working really, really well. We're up almost 200% on this. And by the way, if you are not a member of, I'll do a shameless plug here. If you're not a member of Stock Market Mentor and you like to make money, you're probably not where you should be. Here's why. These are just the active trades that we have going now, and these are ones that I put on suggestions for trading, and you can look here on the P&L. These things have all been, not quite all, things have been doing really, really well. Microsoft was a recent addition. That's not really doing much. NVIDIA, not really doing anything either. But the point is, what I do here is I give you the entry. I say, buy it here. Your stop is here. And then I continue to ratchet them up so that I help you protect your profits as well as your initial capital. So anyway, if you're not a member, dude, it's $7 for 14 days. If you can't make that kind of trade, then certainly no offense meant, but I'm not your guy. But I thought I'd mention it. Anyway, so what I'm suggesting doing with Rigetti now is, and I'll be honest, I sold a little bit today. I sold a little bit of my position today on this initial, hell, I guess you'd say I got shaken out. But on this initial pullback, first thing this morning, I had a really, really nice profit in it. I was protecting my profit. Stock traded down below the volume weighted average price and kind of stayed there. And then I had crap to do. I had a training session to do. And so I missed this upside move. So I had sold some of this stuff. And then I came back later in the day and saw that this was actually up on the day. So this is what I did. Rather than just say, oh crap, I shouldn't have sold, I went ahead and bought it back. I bought a smaller position. I'd taken a nice profit in it, but I bought it back at a higher price. However, and this is the point that I want to make today, I treated it as a separate trade, not just, oh, I'm going to buy back something. I'm going to buy back some shares that I had sold earlier. No, I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, all right. And I did want to add back to the position, no question about that. But if I was making an initial trade, how would I look at this? And the way I would look at this is higher intraday high here, higher intraday high and low, another one high and low, another one high and low. So what I did was the initial or the additional shares that I bought, I've decided to protect those profits. Here, we'll do it this way. I decided to protect those shares, that trading capital, with the stop just below the intraday low of 38.37. So, well, close enough. I'll put it right here. So if this, here, and I'll even set my alert. So now I'll get the heads up if Rigetti falls back and hits a lower intraday low, because that tells me that the dynamic has changed. So far, this does seem to be gappy. Gaps up and keeps going, gaps up and keeps going, gaps up, gap down here a bit, and then ultimately reverse. So this is turning out to be a real good trade. We're up almost, I think, almost 200%. On that. I forget where that deal is. But anyway, we're up a crap load on this, and I think it's still going. What you want to be doing is you always want your money to be working for you. And so what you don't want to do is be in a position that's profitable and then have it sit for weeks and weeks and weeks consolidating before then moving higher. I think it's always a good idea when you have a good profit, take a little bit of money off the table if you have another stock that looks like it's just ready to start going. So anyway, don't fall in love with your winners, but do like them. Treat them as friends. You can ditch them every once in a while, but ultimately, man, as long as they're still moving higher, you still need to be long. So that's all I got for you. Hope you all had a great day today, a great weekend, and by golly, Tuesday is going to be even freaking better than today.